Hello, friends. Welcome back. I had an interesting conversation with my siblings this week, and one of them mentioned the fact we were discussing religion and philosophy. And one of them made the statement that what is good should be self evident. And this got me on a whole train of thought that I thought I would just share with you guys today. So, first, I want to say this is not an attack against Christians or the Bible. None of my videos are ever meant that way. Most of my loved ones are Christians. So today I want to talk to you about objective truth and what is the standard for objective truth. Now, I realize that the phrase objective truth is a little bit redundant, but I'm just using it to clarify what I mean because there is a lot of talk in our day and age about your truth, my truth. When I use the word truth, I'm talking specifically about what is real, what actually exists. And that is objective. Something either is real or it's not, right? Now, our experience of truth, our perception of truth can be relative. And that's part of the deal with this life in these bodies with our limited perceptions. But truth itself is objective, real, unchanging, indestructible. Truth, I would say, is inerrant. So when I was in Christian circles, I would hear this type of statement all the time. There has to be a standard for objective truth, and that standard is the Bible. And so without the Bible, without this objective standard and this book that we can look at to see what's true, we have no way of knowing what's right and wrong. We have no moral compass. We have no moral guide. Now, while I do agree with the Christian viewpoint that there is an objective truth, I do not agree that that objective truth can only be found in the Bible. And I would question whether it can be found from a flat reading of the biblical text at all. Like I said, I do think that the Bible contains spiritual truth, but the way that it is most often interpreted as inerrant, 100% historically, scientifically accurate, and it's meant to be read as one flat text, as if it was one book that was put together by one author. If you understand the Bible that way, I would actually argue that you're not going to find objective truth in the Bible at all. Let me explain. In the Bible, we have the 10 Commandments, in which we are given what is considered to be the moral law, the standard for right and wrong. And one of these commandments is, you shall not murder. However, if you look in the Old Testament, some of the books in the Old Testament, starting probably from the book of Genesis with the story of Abraham and Isaac, when God tells Abraham to offer his son as a sacrifice on the altar. So the same God who commands us not to murder and says murder is morally wrong, then turns around and tells his follower, commands his follower to murder his son as an act of faith. God's moral standard changed. He turned around and took something that was morally wrong and then used it as a test of faith. In this instance, if Abraham was going to do what was actually right, he should have said, no, murder is wrong. I'm not going to follow through with this. And that's not even beginning to touch on all of the passages where mass genocide is commanded by the very deity that said murder was wrong, and how slavery and rape are condoned, and on and on and on. In my experience, when you bring up these stories and ask people about them, when I have asked people who view the Bible as inerrant, well, what about the passage when God commands Joshua to murder men, women, and children? The answer that we'll get back is, well, God's the one who wrote the law. He's above the law. He doesn't have to follow it. Those people were evil and deserve to be punished. Which, first of all, is a prime example of how the Bible can be used for great evil, because it happened in the Bible because God said it. Say, well, those people deserved what they got. That is what inspires everything from discrimination to abuse and mistreatment of certain people groups to war. But secondly, what we see is a very relative morality, a very relative truth that is not based on some objective standard of truth, but it is instead based on the whims of the deity that is being represented in the book. I would propose to you that objective truth is far easier to know and understand. The creator, or whatever name you want to use to refer to the creator, is not limited to one book. He, she, it is so far beyond that. I would actually argue that we don't need any outside source to tell us what objective truth is, because we have this thing within us called a conscience that tells us right from wrong. What is the objective standard for truth? It's very, very simple. The only thing that is inerrant in this world is love. Love is what exists. Love is the truth. Love is the objective standard by which we measure everything to determine if it is right or wrong. Why do I think that love is objective truth? It is the underlying message of every channel text I have ever read. It is the underlying message of every near-death experience I've ever read. It is the underlying message of all of the world's major religions. But even if I had none of those other things, the truth is within me. My conscience, that I share with every other individual on the planet, tells me that it is right to be loving and it is wrong to be unkind. And that when we add any more to it than that, we overcomplicate the truth. The truth is simple and easy to understand. And does the Bible teach truth? Absolutely. When you understand it properly, Jesus, who is the highlight of the Bible according to those who value it as the inspired word of God, Jesus himself said that the sum of the entire biblical text was to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And I would also argue that love is objective truth because love is the nature of God, and that what is right and good is right and good because it is real, because it is what exists. So the standard of truth cannot change because reality does not change. So murder won't be wrong one day and then right another day when God decides to command mass murder of innocent children. That's not the way it works. It's not like here's God, this being up in the sky who wrote the laws, decided what they were going to be, and wrote them down. But one day he decides he wants to break one of his own laws, so that makes it okay. Truth is true, not because some deity out there somewhere decided one day this is true. This is how I want things to be. No, truth is true because it reflects the nature of reality. And the nature of reality is love, because God is love and everything that exists is part of the divine nature. So truth is immutable. It does not change. It is true because it is. Because we are part of the divine, because we came from the divine. Everything that exists is part of the divine. That is what our conscience is. We know this because we are this on a deep level. Be loved, be happy, be at peace, and thank you for watching.